It's funny. My producer was like, let me set up a rule for you in your inbox so that you don't keep getting all of these emails because I'm sure it's a lot. And I'm like, I don't really know that I want the rules set up where I don't see them because I'm actually enjoying going through all of them. All of my free time now is reading all of these emails that are coming in. We've got, people from India reaching out, thanking me for exposing this. Now, on the other hand, we do have some who are just in full-blown panic mode. I read this tweet and I wanted to share it. These are Indian. Desi WhatsApp groups are going bonkers after Sara Gonzales' latest report on H-1B scam hit YouTube. One fella saying he is considering self-deporting, another even saying he is contemplating the unthinkable. Absolute panic. Well, don't contemplate that. Just go home. Just go back home. There's no reason for the heightened drama. And then you have others out there claiming to know what the rules are. And they're like, we need to protect people who are breaking them. To Indian Americans, understand your rights. When people trespass on your property, tell them they are trespassing and call the cops if they don't go away. Don't engage with journalists in good faith. Many are race grifters. Learn self-defense. Like they're going to kung fu me off the porch, I guess. Now, that actually is a point that I would like to address here. You actually, and I, have every right to ask about the business. It's the law. So I want to take the example of our good friend Hari. I just asked Hari, knock, knock, knock. I just asked him a simple question about his business, Qubits Technologies. Immediately calls 911. Somebody is like threatening me. And here's where he went wrong. I've actually been informed it's illegal for him to refuse to provide me the information when requested. Now, the place of business on the LCA H-1B paperwork was the address that I showed up to. We've had some privacy complaints from our friend, and so we're not going to show it right now, but you can look up the LCA because it's all public information. So you go look that up. Okay, here it is, the case number. And according to the Department of Labor, Fact Sheet 62F says an H-1B employer's public access records that must be maintained and made available under the H-1B program. Any member of the public requesting access to the documents must be allowed to capture the information through such means as transcription, scanning, or taking photographs, for example. So, it's not my problem that they list their home as the place of business, which doesn't seem to be very much work happening there. The process exists to protect transparency. I actually do have a right to come ask you questions at the place of business, which happens to be listed as that particular home. So a message to Hari, next time I come back and knock, 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 I'd like for you to provide your papers. Maybe you should get them in order. And don't call 911 on me again, because that actually, maybe you're not familiar with our laws. You didn't bother learning them when you came here. What you did by calling 911 could get you in some serious trouble, Hari.
If somebody is knocking on my door and then they are like threatening me.
Here's what I can tell you about our laws here, Hari. You're not allowed to create false 911 calls. What is faking an emergency call? Faking an emergency call refers to intentionally providing false or misleading information to emergency services such as 911, which he did call. I saw it on his phone. It wasn't the non-emergency, to elicit a response from police, fire, or medical personnel. The consequences of which it can be classified as a Class A misdemeanor, which carries penalties of up to 1 year in county jail and fines of up to $4,000. Third degree to state jail felony if the false report causes a substantial risk of harm, such as injuries during a police response. The offense may escalate to a state jail felony, which carries penalties of 6 months to 2 years in a state jail facility and fines of up to $10,000. So, maybe next time, don't accuse someone of threatening you when they've got on video that they didn't actually do so. More to come on that, by the way. We've FOIA'd some information that I think will be very valuable. Now, there are a lot of people trying to claim, what's the fraud? Come on, Sarah, people are allowed to run businesses from their homes. I have an LLC set up and it's my home address. I'm able to do it. Yeah, I understand that's not illegal and we're not disputing that. We are actually exposing the shady practices that are happening with the H-1B and the LCA, which lead to a lot more compliance questions. Now, we already saw in our expose that our good friend Hari didn't have workers there, didn't have an office there, didn't look like that. Do you go to your office in your boxers? So here are more questions we have about these businesses. Are they H-1B petitions for jobs that do not actually exist? Do the jobs actually exist? Are they listing work sites where no work is performed? Are they benching visa holders without pay while saying they have full-time employment? Are they keeping workers in the United States working or unpaid after termination beyond the 60-day grace period? Are they falsifying experience, resumes, or job duties to meet specialty occupation requirements? Got a lot of emails on that one, guys. Are they paying below the prevailing wage? A lot of emails on that one, too. Are they charging workers illegal fees? Because you can't actually bring someone in and be like, I'm just the consulting firm. By the way, worker, you got to pay me a percentage of this. You got to pay me a chunk of that. These are the pieces that could eventually show that they are committing fraud. And that's what we are trying to find out. That's what we're trying to find out. By the way, my last message to Hari right now before we move on, and I want to show you guys, I want to bring on someone to show you guys a tool so that you can actually do this yourself. Fix your damn website, okay? The Qubits website, we've already exposed you. You already know that we went to your website. You already know that we showed it. Can you please get start? Click here to get start. If you have questions, contact us. Fix your damn website. You're supposed to be the high-tech software engineer. Specialize in IT and websites and all that. Fix it. Please. My gosh. All right. I was on Alex Jones earlier today, and we talked about wanting to empower the average citizen to go out and do this themselves. Like I'm one person, I'm Sara Gonzales. I know there are a lot of people out there who are trying to get this information out. My producer went out and researched all of this because it's all publicly available info, but I'm only one person and I can't go to all of your states yet. Now, we will have more to come. There's so much more that we have to come. But I'm only one person, and I can only handle so much. So one of the main questions that I've been asked is, how can I help investigate? Well, we need to build an entire fleet of investigators to look into these potential cases of fraud. Now, one way is you can easily Google things, right? You can search a business name, you can search the H-1B and see if anything looks out of place. Like, what is the location? What is it? Like, you can just ask questions. You can show up and ask for that public available form, but there's actually a much simpler tool that can help you out. And that is where my next guest comes in. He's a leading warrior in this fight against H-1B visa scams. And he created a website, actually, which will allow you to just investigate your area. This is Enli Plumb. He is running for U.S. Congress in Texas's 2nd Congressional District. Nick, thank you for joining me. I am just blown away by the tool that you created, fraudreporter.visadata.org. And I wish that we had known about it before we started our investigation, because it would have really helped. We were just going through all of it manually. But you have created this tool, this automated tool to help find visa fraud and launch investigations. So we've got this walkthrough. Can you go ahead and tell the audience about this?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sarah, for having me on. So it all started with just a basic journey. I was plugging away, digging through the data like everyone else was. And I realized there was a group, I don't know, 30 or 40 of us that were doing the same tasks over and over and over again. So I decided I'd spin up a quick website with a map that would allow any user that would be interested in diving into this to access the map, pick their area, and drill down into the location they wanted to go to. Along with that, I created some background, why it matters, what's important, how to go ahead and roll through the request, and a little bit of an explainer on that public access file request. So on the screen, you see we're diving into Dallas here. You can just, pick your location. Once you do, there's a pop-up that says Start Investigation. If you click the Start Investigation tab, it'll auto-populate this data for you. You just have to hit Next Step from there. If you'd like to get a copy of any public access form you drop off, you can put your email in that little box there, hit generate the form. It'll generate a sheet of paper that you can take with you to ask, the next Hari if they can present their PAF. The form's not required, but it is something that, makes you maybe feel more official walking through some of these office buildings. But if you look across the map, I mean, this is ridiculous. It is everywhere. I've gone and checked, I don't know, 30 to 40 locations myself. I've had three that I think may be legitimate, but I was unable to get anybody to even answer the door and request a public access or to request the public access file.
Wow. So the overwhelming majority of the places that you are visiting,
Yeah.
something stinks.
Yeah, lots of stuff stinks. They are either empty buildings like you showed on your show, covered with dusty floors. They are something totally different than what they say they are. Uh, and when they are something different than what they say they are, those tenants tend to say, our mail or the mail from the prior tenant is still getting sent here. It's accumulating, which opens up all sorts of questions. If these are legitimate businesses, why would they not turn on mail forwarding? Why would they not be updating their LCA documents? What are they hiding, and why don't they want to be found?
Yeah, and that's the thing is that I think that there are a lot of Americans they've kind of been asleep at the wheel. They've never really thought about it. They don't know where to go or the process. I mean, I went into this thinking I'm just kind of a privileged American. I understand that. I don't know the visa process because I've never had to go through it because why would I? I'm an American. You know what I mean? And so I
Yeah.
think that there are a lot of Americans who don't realize, no, it's not just, oh, you put your business, as your residential home. No, you actually have to comply with the laws with the H-1B and the LCA that you have to post the actual work site location. You have to update it if you change the work site. And so that's where it really gets dicey from what we're finding. But tell me this. I have more
Yeah.
questions for you, but I just thought of this. How often do you run into the flex space, WeWork type locations? Because when we're looking into this, we're coming into a lot of just random remote virtual office spaces, the co-working spaces where you're sharing space with other, remote employees. Have you come across that as well a lot?
Yeah, I think you can bucket it into like three different types. There's the home, which really makes you wonder if there's a bona fide job at all, which is required to file the LCA. Makes you wonder if it's even a real business.
Yep.
There's also those that are in the work styles, where you go in and you rent a virtual space. They may or may not even have an office. And then there's that third bucket where you go in and you rent a suite in a building. None of them seem particularly legit. At least those that have a door you can knock on, you can request the public access file. I found one in Sugarland the other day that is above a U-Haul center, absolutely just riddled with them. And then there's, I guess, one fourth trend, caveat, whatever you want to call it. They all tend to have an immigration lawyer within a stone's throw of where these places are set up.
Interesting. I won't get into what that immigration lawyer's name might sound like. So you obviously know a lot about this H-1B visa issue. Obviously, you're very passionate about it. What made you decide to do all of this?
Yeah, so I mean, there's really two things. One is my oldest daughter graduated high school last year. I'm going to brag for a second. She had a 4.5 GPA. She graduated with 32 college
Wow.
credits coming out of high school.
Wow.
Every EC that you could extracurricular you could imagine, whether it was athletic or academic. She graduated in Colorado, where my ex-wife lives. So when she tried to get into University of Texas at Austin and was rejected from the entire school system, I thought maybe there's more than just the work visa happening. I work in big tech. I'd seen my teams change drastically
Mhm.
in the last 5 years in terms of demographic makeup. I saw a lot of foreign hires being brought in. Uh, and then when it hit home, it was my daughter. That's really what pushed me over the edge. That's what compelled me to run for office, even, let alone dive into the data. The As a data professional, the the scary thing is there is zero chance anybody at the government has been looking at this for the last, I don't know, 5 or 10 years. And if they were, then there's all sorts of other questions. Why were they allowing this to happen? Was it negligence? Was it kickbacks? And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. I'm going to lean into they just weren't looking. I don't know, our high trust system was taken advantage of.
That's the major question that I have as well since I started, doing all of the digging myself is just like, where is USCIS? I understand, I had a state legislator here in the state of Texas text me after we ran our expose, and he said, the federal government did this to us and we didn't even get to vote on it. And so I realize that Florida is trying to eliminate their state, H-1B positions right now. And I think Texas should definitely follow. But there is a very sinister level of like the federal government is just doing all of this and, approving all of this. And then we just are like at their mercy of whatever they would like to do. And if they want to check into it, great. And if they don't, I guess you're just getting an influx of people who don't really care to assimilate. And I love that you brought up that anecdotal story about your daughter, because I'm a born and raised native Texan and, I went to high school in the area. And even back then, I never really thought about it, but even back then you could have, like you're saying, 4.5 GPA. Mine was not as high, but still high. And you couldn't get into the public schools in Texas because they have a rule that if you live here, if you are in state, that like the top 10% of your school, you get to go to whatever in-state school, public school that you want to go to. Well, that was being taken up by Indians, now that I think about it, and Asians who were coming here, and they were getting the however high you can go. And all of those spots were getting taken up by people who seemingly were foreign and came into this country as foreign nationals. So now that you're saying this, I'm connecting the dots like, wow, this is actually impacting way more places than I even realized. What is your advice to other people around the country with your tool here that you created?
Use it, right? We've got to crowdsource this. The government's failing us right now. Try to make it as easy as I could for everybody to go out, identify these locations, try to outline a standard protocol to go out and collect the data that you are entitled as an interested party. And I hope everybody that's in America that works or has children or plans to have children considers themselves an interested party. You have the right to go out and request this information. If you do that, please take a few minutes, upload that data into here. I've got it all storing in a database, and we'll each week be pulling the new everything that's input new and sending it to the Department of Labor. Can't say they're going to do anything, but at least we're going to provide them with that information, and I will make public the count of cases that were forwarded, along with any of the data that is needed to support that.
Great.
The other thing that I would suggest people do is it doesn't end at H-1B. There's an OPT program, there's a CPT program. It's optional practical training or curricular practical training. Those are things that I truly believe the state could challenge. I would love to see our Attorney General file a suit challenging what is being called a training program as an illegal jobs program. And it is the conduit or the main pipeline into this H-1B program, and it's not going to be addressed by the $100,000 fee. Those folks are already in the United States. They are exempt, and that is what happens after the student visa. If I can, I just want to hit on the demographic change that you mentioned with students. University of Texas in Austin over the last decade, white male population there has dropped 31%. White male student population has dropped 31%. Females have dropped 20%. The Asian female population has increased by 53%. The Asian male, 30 something. I forget the exact number for Asian male, but it is a catastrophic demographic change. And it is a byproduct of this H-1B. These children that go there as the dependents of H-1B holders are classified as an H-4. They're in-state residents. They pay in-state tuition. Big high schools in concentrated areas like Frisco skew that 6% automatic acceptance rate. Yeah. And it is completely erasing opportunity for those that have, multi-generation Texans or multi-generation Americans. It's disgusting and it needs to end.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I appreciate all of your great work. Thank you so much for making this website. I also would like to just give you props. I had no idea about this public, access to this forum until I happened to see one of your ex posts back to me, and I was like, oh my God, I wish I would have known that before I went and knocked on Hari's door. I'm going to have to go back. So you were the one who gave me that tip. I really, really appreciate it. And I appreciate all of your great work with this. Fraudreporter.visadata.org Nick has made it available to you. What are you going to do with the information? I need all of you guys on the streets in your area doing the work that needs to be done, and that is how we save the country. Nick, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing the site with us.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Go there, guys. I'm telling you, there's not enough Nicks. There's not enough Sarahs. There's not enough insert name here of all of the people, all of the regular citizens who are trying to stop this. We all have to band together.